What is up, football fans? Welcome to another edition of the ONETA Football Show, brought to you by PTE Creative. Yeah! Sorry, still got a little WrestleMania left of me from this past weekend. However, today, as promised, it is Mock Draft 1.0 time. So, we are going into my mock draft. So this is me just trying to accurately guess, just like everybody else making a mock draft, what it's going to be like. This is just me picking up on little things and seeing what can or cannot happen and going from there. I do have some wild things in there, but they all have at least some knowledge or merit to it whatsoever. So without further ado, let's go to mock draft 1.0. Let's go. We start with the Chicago Bears, the in-division rival of my favorite football team. And with the most obvious first pick in recent history, the Chicago Bears select Caleb Williams, quarterback, USC. It is beyond obvious why you do this. The best quarterback in all of Bears history, if you look at their total history, goes back to Sid Luckman, 30s and the 40s. Okay? Sid Luckman is the best quarterback this team's ever had. If your most notable guys after that are the Jay Cutler run or the Jim McMahon run, that does not bode well for the history of the quarterback position on your team. Caleb Williams has the ability to be one of the all-time greats if the coaching goes through. I truly believe that. In my opinion, he's the finest quarterback prospect to ever come out, with rare exception. And I'm talking the generational talents of Andrew Luck, John Elway, those guys. Like, that's how good we're talking a prospect Caleb Williams is. It is a no-brainer pick. They need a quarterback. That team needs a leader who's going to take them down the field, score some damn points, and win games. Caleb Williams has the ability to do that. So without question, number one, Caleb Williams. On the clock, with the second pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Washington Commanders select Jaden Daniels, quarterback, LSU. Now, with Jaden Daniels, it's going to come down to, you want Daniels or do you want Drake May? I am of the belief that Drake May is not that good of a prospect. I don't think he's worth a top 2 or top 3 pick. I think, honestly, crazy enough as it sounds with the way he likes to run, Jaden Daniels is a safer pick. But I also think Jaden Daniels is ready. I think Washington is ready to turn the page and try to make their team relevant and in contention again. Everything there is brand new. New owner, new coach, new coaching staff. The vast majority of the roster is going to be new now, with how many veterans they traded away or just let walk. Jaden Daniels has enough athleticism, poise to make himself relevant for a good while in the NFL at the quarterback position, in my opinion. And Washington needs success quickly. And a lot of people say, no, they don't, and they don't. Yeah, they do. Washington's been down on its ass forever, and this was the year, this past year, to capitalize on the fact that Dan Snyder was no longer your owner. To say, new times, new things, we're going around. We're going crazy, and we're making this place great. And it didn't work. And it's brand new there, and they need to win. Jaden Daniels is your answer to win that, so I went with Jaden Daniels over Drake May in this scenario. With the third pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select Drake May, quarterback, North Carolina. Like I said, Drake May is not my guy. However, that doesn't mean others don't think of him extremely highly. And that he could be something special in a lot of people's minds. And New England is starving for a quarterback. However, New England's starving for a lot of things. So this was a hard pick for me because I'm going to be doing next week. Yeah, I believe I'll probably do next week with this, with the what would I do mock draft. I go over a lot of different scenarios about what I would do. This is not what I would pick for New England. But I'm picking as New England. I'm not picking for New England in this draft. It's kind of the crazy part about mock drafts is like, I want this player to go there. I don't do that. I see what the team I analyze the best I can what I feel the team is going to do and what it needs and what it wants and goes and finds that answer. I think they are desperate to find a top right quarterback again. And that is why they're going to go take a quarterback, and I think they're going to take Drake May because he's the prototype that can grow, and they know they're not going to win this year. So it's like, oh well, let's get the young kid who's got more years, and he's the prototype to turn into something great, especially in a division that has Josh Allen to contend with. You have Aaron Rodgers in the division right now. The Miami Dolphins, although Tua is not that great, have a run and gun team that can just blow you out the water. You need points. To do that, you need a quarterback. That is why I have Drake May going number 3 overall to New England. Now, with the 4th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, we've got a trade alert. Because I have Arizona Cardinals trading the 4th overall pick in a 2024 6th round pick for the Minnesota Vikings number 11, number 23, and another 3rd round pick this year. Everyone thinks it's just going to be the 2 first. It's not. You got to pay the quarterback tax, especially if you're going to take yourself out of getting a great player in the top 10. You need to do that. I just didn't think you could get Kwesi Adofo-Mensah to give up another 1st round pick. They already gave up their 2nd next year, so I think they'd be willing to do their 3rd, but not their 1st. So a 3rd this year, but I don't think they'd be willing to mortgage the future. So with the 4th pick in the draft, the Minnesota Vikings, after a trade, select J.J. McCarthy, quarterback, Michigan. To me, J.J. McCarthy is a more athletic version of Kirk Cousins. It's not a bad comp. I have the comp that he's I'm not a big comp guy, but I have the comp that he's a more athletic Brock Purdy plus in my mind. Regardless, he is raising up the ranks in a lot of NFL circles because he rises to the occasion. He has more skills than he's given credit for. And when the moment counts, he does show up and play good quarterbacks and passes down the field well and does all those things. Whether you like it or not, McCarthy's going to go high. I don't have McCarthy as a top 10 talent. I could see him going in the middle of the round and being okay with it. But this is the quarterback market in a nutshell. The teams that are at the top need quarterbacks. And the first team that doesn't need a quarterback that could trade down is Arizona. So if you want to guarantee you get one of the top 4, you have to take Arizona's spot. If you want to guarantee it. The real question is if you could get Washington or New England to trade. Because they need more than just a quarterback. However, I don't think that's going to happen. Which is why I have the trade once again as pick number 4 and a 6th rounder this year, for pick number 11, pick number 23, and a 3rd rounder this year as well to go with package for Arizona, who already has another first round pick as well in the back half. So after this trade, Arizona would have 3 picks in the first round, which is really going to help their team since they're kind of bereft of talent, to be honest, outside of their tackle, their quarterback, and their safety. Yeah, that's where I'd about to put it. It's Kyler, Paris Johnson, who, if he pans out, he did well, but he needs to pan out a little bit more, and Buda Baker. And to me, that's about it on the Arizona Cardinals. They need players, so they need picks. And that is why I think they go for this trade. Minnesota wants that quarterback because they have a good roster ready to go right now. And number 5, 5th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. We got ourselves another trade alert. Sorry for the annoying sound effects. My apologies. Just got to do something different. The LA Chargers trade the 5th pick in the draft this year to the New York Jets. Number 10, a 4th round pick this year and a 2nd round pick next year. I think Jim Harbaugh is well aware that he doesn't have the roster that he wants, and it's going to take time to rebuild in his image, so to speak, in Los Angeles. So he wants picks this year and next year to trade out of his spot. And I think it's beyond obvious. Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers want to trade back to acquire more picks because they don't really need the top end kind of positions that are going to be worthy of top 10 picks this year. So after that trade with the 5th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver, Ohio State. The Jets need a lot. They're further from what they complete is than a lot of people think. Because as soon as we were done with the season, everyone immediately went, well, Aaron Rodgers is back. And the most you can usually get out of people is, oh, yeah, they're going to have to fix that offensive line. They went out in free agency and they got 2 or 3 starters, and they're going to get Elijah Vera Tucker back after injury. So they're going to be under the belief that they did enough through free agency that they can take care of the offensive line without a first-round pick. I would disagree with that. I would definitely go tackle if I were the Jets. But again, this isn't what I would do. It's what I think the Jets could do. They need wide receiver talent. They need skill position talent. They were bereft at the skill positions last year because it became too much of, and like I said, I'm a Packer fan, but truth is truth. Aaron kind of made it the Aaron Rodgers and Friends show and the Jets didn't really try to make the best team. They tried to make the best experience for Aaron Rodgers. And that's not what you want to do to win football games in the National Football League. They did well out and get Mike Williams from the Chargers, but nobody can say that Mike Williams is a long-term starter with them due to his health history. He's never completed a full season without major injury outside of his one contract year. He's a hell of a player when he's on the field, but when he's not on the field, it's the majority of the time. So you need a number 1 guy. You have Garrett Wilson. That's great. Pair him up with his old college teammate. Pair him up with, in my opinion, the best wide receiver prospect I've ever seen. It would hurt me for him to go to the Jets because I don't like any great player going to the Jets. Because they don't have a great history of developing them further. However, if you're the Jets, you see a striking opportunity to go get Marvin Harrison. And you know a lot of teams are going to be gunning for the quarterback position, not the wide receiver position in a deep wide receiver draft. If you can go trade up, not sacrifice another first, go up and get a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. to completely change your team, you do it. You do not blink an eye. You do it. And that is what I have the Jets doing here. And you have to get in front of the Giants, because unless a quarterback falls to them, they're taking a receiver because they have to, because they're bereft at the skill positions as well. But you get in front of the Giants, you screw your crosstown rival, which the media there will love, and it'll be great for sports talk for a full year to come, and it'll come into legend of like, oh, haha, the Jets got the Giants on that one. But more importantly, you get the best wide receiver in this draft and one of the best wide receiver prospects in history. And that is what you do as the Jets at number 5 after a trade with the Chargers. At number 6, no trade here, with the 6th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. The New York Giants select Malik Nabers, wide receiver, LSU. This is being mocked everywhere because everyone thinks Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to go first out of the wide receivers. I have seen some mocks that have Malik Nabers going first. That's crazy to me, but to each their own. Malik Nabers is a hell of a talent. The speed, the explosion, big time playability, it's all there for him. And that is exactly what the Giants need. The Giants' one home run hitter is gone. They let Saquon Barkley walk. But in a draft where you lose out on the top 4 quarterback prospects, your best bet is to sit and wait and hope one falls towards the end of the first, early second, where you can go up and grab him once you're done with the 4. So you need to have pieces around to make your situation the best thing you possibly can within your control at the time. You take the best playmaker available, and by most people's accounts, that is Malik Nabers. I have him and Rome Odunze as A and B in my rankings. I don't even give them number rankings because I think they're that close. But Malik Nabers gets the edge in terms of having to do it because he has more speed and explosion than Rome Odunze does. So with the 6th pick, it's Malik Nabers going to the G-Men and Giants going up to North Jersey. With the 7th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans stay put and select Joe Alt, offensive tackle, Notre Dame. Now, Joe Alt and Olu Fashanu are both phenomenal tackles. If you've been watching the videos on YouTube or you've been listening to the podcast on Spotify, you know I have Olu Fashanu slightly above Joe Alt. But if you're looking for safe pick, know it's going to work out, the safest pick at the tackle position to have the most success is Joe Alt, which is why Tennessee, who needs things to work, is going to take Joe Alt. My opinion. Unless somehow someone snags him before they get to. Prototypical tackle, a lot of athleticism, just very efficient movements, great blocker in the pass game and the run game. He's the kind of guy you want protecting your franchise quarterback, and the Titans believe they may have one in Will Levis. So you got to give the kid a shot, get him the best one that you can in Joe Alt. Frankly, the Titans, even after their free agency spending that I didn't think got them much, I mean, goddamn, they need something on that offensive line to protect them, and I think it's Joe Alt. With the 8th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, which is mocked by Evan Davies, the Atlanta Falcons select Dallas Turner, edge player from Alabama. I like Dallas Turner's game a lot. Actually can break down into coverage quite a bit, which is kind of crazy to me, how much of a pure pass rusher he's touted to be. But again, a disruptive guy, plays in a similar fashion to his college teammate who came out last year, Will Anderson Jr.'s skill set. Similar skill set. Will Anderson Jr. is better, but it's not so far ahead that it's such a disparity that you're like, no, it's crazy. Dallas Turner's a good player. He's not my number 1 edge rusher, but he's a hell of a player that merits a top-end pick, especially at the position. And for the first time, you're getting a defensive player in this draft, so you go with Dallas Turner to make the best of the situation that you have and getting a quality edge rusher. That's what you do with Dallas Turner. And Atlanta has all the investment on offense that they need. They need to fix their defense. They need impact players, which is why they go defense and why they go edge rusher to try to impact the other team. So maybe they can finally outscore some other teams with the offensive pieces they have and the acquisition of Kirk Cousins. That's why they go Dallas Turner from the edge position here. Now, with their second pick in this draft, the 9th pick in the 2024 NFL mock draft, the Chicago Bears. They select Rome Odunze, wide receiver, Washington. Now, the pairing of Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze scares me as a Packer fan. Odunze is tough, he's physical, great body control, big time playmaker, great hands. You name it, Rome Odunze's got it as a wide receiver prospect. Has more speed than he's given credit for. Rome Odunze is a hell of a player. You pair him up with a quarterback to grow with like Caleb Williams, you have yourself a tandem that you can ride your team with if development goes well for 10 years. That's the quality of the prospects that Chicago gets. And I was just looking at it. They have the offensive line pieces that they need. They don't need to draft the tackle. They could draft the tackle, but they don't need to take a tackle. They can address that in the second round because it's a deep tackle class with quality players. So instead of doing that, take the offensive playmaker you need to put your offense over the top to help your quarterback develop and grow. You already have DJ Moore, have Cole Kmet. So there are pieces on that offense. Now you can go Rome Odunze. You can get a nice triple threat attack with your passing attack and a quality offensive line. And Caleb Williams will appreciate anything at the NFL level because, frankly, he had no offensive line in 2023 at USC. You go Rome Odunze, get yourself a quality wide receiver to pair with your young quarterback. And for Chicago Bear fans, you hope that this is the draft. These two picks pair up to make you a consistent contender for another decade. One that you have not been in a while. And frankly, as someone who does have a soft spot for the city of Chicago, they're great sports fans there. As a sporting town, they deserve a good team. And they've just lost faith in their team because they have no idea what they're doing. They might now finally have the chance to prove that wrong. So, from a Chicago Bears perspective and a Chicago sports fan perspective, you kind of hope that they get through. Now, I don't want them to be better than the Packers. That's a different story. But again, I love the city of Chicago. Got a lot of fond memories there. I may end up living there one day. It's a great sports city, and they need a winner. And we move on to number 10. So this is the result of the trade from 5 to 10 between the Chargers and the Jets in this mock draft. With the 10th pick, 2024 NFL mock draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select Talese Fuaga, offensive tackle, Oregon State. Now, I went with Fuaga intentionally because of this. He's a right tackle. He's a mauler, and he wants to hit people. That is what Jim Harbaugh likes. That is what Jim Harbaugh wants. And they already have Rashawn Slater playing the left tackle position. So you don't take a left tackle that only plays left tackle and say, well, Rashawn Slater can figure out he can go play. Rashawn Slater is a great player, especially when healthy. And he has the versatility. I think he's athletic enough to learn right tackle. But why take him away from his natural position that he's better at and do a downgrade at the left tackle position, which is most likely what's going to happen, when you could just get a big Samoan badass. I shouldn't even say he's Samoan. I haven't double-checked that. But fits the bill. A big Pacific Islander badass like Talese Fuaga, who wants to just maul and hit people and play the offensive style that you love playing. It's just logical. So that's what you have to do when you think about these situations. That's why Jim Harbaugh takes Talese Fuaga, the offensive tackle out of Oregon State. Now we're to pick 11. Again, this is the results of Arizona's trade back from 4 back to 11 with Minnesota. So with the 11th pick, the 2024 NFL mock draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Brock Bowers, tight end, Georgia. Now they do have, and now his name's escaping me once I had to say it, but they do have a decent tight end. It's number 85, blonde guy. And he's far more of just a receiving kind of guy who kind of came out of nowhere into Arizona. But Arizona needs the ability to run, which they didn't have last year. They need to develop more as a passing attack, which they already started to do last year, and Kyler looked really, really good once he came back from injury. But you need more weapons to make that an effective game. How do you impact both sides of your offense with the running attack and the passing attack? To me, you go take Brock Bowers. Now, many people are going to argue, no, you need a receiver, you need a receiver. This is an incredibly deep wide receiver class where quality players are going to go into the round 2 and round 3, into the 2s and 3s. It's just the nature of the market that we're getting here in the 2024 NFL Draft. But there is only one generational tight end prospect, and it's Brock Bowers. I was not ready to believe the hype, and now I believe the hype, and I'm full on the hype train for Brock Bowers. He's a phenomenal blocker who's really going to impact your run game well. And he is a receiving threat. And he has similar movements. He's not the same player. Similar movements to Travis Kelce. You pair that up with your young quarterback and you go run with it. And you impact both styles of play that you need on the offensive side of the ball. You go do that with Brock Bowers. So that's why I have them going out, kind of coloring outside the lines, taking Brock Bowers at 11. And number 12. Oh, we got ourselves another trade. The Denver Broncos trade pick number 12 to the Jacksonville Jaguars for pick number 17, a third-round pick this year, and a third-round pick next year. Which is not crazy seeing the trades that we get. Some are kind of wild. They've been toning down, but history is far more that trades keep scaling up in the draft. And last year was kind of an outlier for that, or 2 years ago specifically, with Minnesota taking wild trades down, or Detroit taking wild trades down from Minnesota as well. So you want to see those things kind of take place. But I think we're going to see a bit more of the marking up because this is a draft class of draft capital for draft capital trades. And Jacksonville needs to go protect their quarterback. Trevor Lawrence was touted as a generational talent. He has not proven to be that yet. He has shown sparks, he has shown flashes, and shown stretches where Trevor Lawrence could be a hell of a good quarterback in the NFL. But if he's on his ass all the time, it ain't going to work. So, with the 12th pick in the 2024 NFL mock draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Olu Fashanu, offensive tackle, Penn State. Again, I just gave you the logic behind it. You need to go protect your quarterback. And you're getting into that weird market where it could be the run-on tackles could go wild. It already kind of starts in this mock draft with Joe Alt and Talisi Fuaga. But think about this. Las Vegas is probably not going to get the quarterback they want, and they would either trade down or they're going to take BPA, and they need offensive line help. Or they could use offensive. They don't need it, but they could use it. New Orleans needs offensive line. Indianapolis could argue they should take possibly a tackle and reset some of their offensive line. Seattle could use another offensive lineman. Hell, Denver even could have done it. And Cincinnati's coming up. They could use it. The Rams could always use help. There's a lot of teams that you want to put yourself out of that market that could be competitive and trade up in front of you, or that already are ahead of you, so you want to get up ahead of them. That's why I have Jacksonville making that move. And they take Olufashinu because he's the best raw talent at the position. I think Olufashinu can be successful from the jump. And I have him as a slight edge because I think the projection, if things pan out for him, I think Olufashinu will be the best tackle in this draft class. He still needs development, but I think he could be the best one. He's just a phenomenal pass blocker, and that is where you're going to see Jacksonville needs to focus on because they need to protect their quarterback. So you go get big badass like Olufashinu to go protect your fucking guy. Otherwise, Trevor Lawrence isn't going to be shit in this league because he's just constantly on the ground hurt. So you have to go protect your guy, and that's why you go get Olufashinu to do it. Now, with all these moves ahead of them, the Raiders are kind of stuck. So they stay pat. They're not going to get the quarterback that they want. They really want Jaden Daniels, and they're not going to be able to go get him. So, with the 13th pick in the 2024 NFL mock draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Quinyon Mitchell, cornerback, Toledo. Now, I think they should go a little bit safer, but again, it's not what I think. It's what I think they'll do. The Raiders always have that weird edge to them where they want to do things slightly differently. But I could see them taking the textbook smart pick from all the draft analysis of Quinyon Mitchell doing really well against big time receivers, even playing in the MAC. Then going to the Senior Bowl, then going and acing the NFL Combine. A lot of things are making Quinyon Mitchell a clear first round selection. And he plays bigger than what he is. Antonio Pierce wants badasses. That's without question. The Raiders need defensive back help badly. You are playing in a division against Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. And it's logical to think the Broncos are going to get better when they have a quarterback that Sean Payton actually likes. So, with that being said, you need to play the pass. So you get Quinyon Mitchell to go shut down whatever side of the field he's on and help your team out in Vegas hopefully become a contender out in the AFC West. That's why you go get Quinyon Mitchell. That's what I have the Raiders doing. Now, at the number 14 selection, with 14th pick in the 2024 NFL mock draft, the New Orleans Saints select J.C. Latham, offensive tackle, Alabama. Now, if you are a football fan that listens to any discussion at this time of year, podcast, whatever, it'd be crazy that this is the only thing you're listening to. And if it was, fuck yeah, appreciate you doing that. But, nonetheless, the New Orleans Saints have had horrible injury history in general the last couple of years. Number one. Number two, a lot of their top guys have been lost. They need rejuvenation. And number three, more than anything, their offensive line has been decimated. Trevor Penning has not worked out. Ryan Ramczyk may have to retire due to injury, which would suck because he was a hell of a player when not injured. And proud Wisconsin Badger. Spent some time in my future hometown, or my future home of residence in Madison, Wisconsin. Spoiler alert for whoever hasn't heard that yet. So, you already need blocking to help at times the up and down, at times just moribund New Orleans Saints offense. So you go get a very safe selection in J.C. Latham. I like J.C. Latham. I think he's a quality right tackle prospect for Alabama. You just need help. You just need some goddamn help in New Orleans to help yourselves out. So that's why I say go get J.C. Latham. Help your team out by getting a nice, safe addition who's going to be a positive difference maker for your team at the left tackle position. He's a first-round quality player that can get better. And you know he's got great lineage coming from Alabama. He's been taught well. He's been trained well. He's been coached well at Alabama because every player is. Especially under Nick Saban. It's going to be wild next year. All due respect to Kalen DeBoer. I have no disrespect whatsoever towards Kalen DeBoer, but he does not have the track record that Nick Saban teams do of just producing hella good player after hella good player. It's going to take a while for another institution to be created like that. Now we move on to pick number 15 with the 15th pick, 2024 NFL mock draft. The Indianapolis Colts select Terrion Arnold, cornerback, Alabama. Again, you get that great Nick Saban lineage at the defensive back position with Terrion Arnold, who I think is a ball hawk, just has a nose for the ball, loves just making plays. That's what he's good at. And Indianapolis is weird. They don't, like, no position that Indianapolis has shouts needs replacement. But they need help. They're in that weird spot where nothing's so bad that you're like, oh my God, it's that and that alone. But their defensive backs are the closest thing they could do. They need a corner to help themselves out, especially with passing attacks developing in their division. Obviously, Houston's on top of their game right now, and they just added Stephon Diggs to be even more dangerous. Jacksonville likes to pass downfield with Trevor Lawrence. Tennessee is probably hoping to do the same soon with Will Levis. So you need to counter that. Plus, you're in a conference with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, all those other guys. You need to be able to defend the pass. Ergo, you go get yourself a corner, and I think the best corner in this prospect, or the best corner prospect in this draft, I should say, and that is Terrion Arnold. Will help your defense out with that. And we're finally halfway through after this pick. So, with the 16th pick in 2024 NFL mock draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Jared Verse, edge, Florida State. Now, if you heard my top 25 players, my big board, I wasn't crazy about Jared Verse. I don't think he's a bad player. I just wasn't wowed by him. But Seattle has a tendency of taking those players and getting the best out of them. Mike McDonald has that as a coach as well. So it'd be very nice and interesting to see that happen again with a player like Jared Verse, who is a heavily touted prospect. In all doubts, will probably go before this, but in this mock draft, I think he can easily slip to Seattle and get there. Seattle, again, is weird. They could need help in a couple different positions, but I think their defensive line is something they really want to establish with Mike McDonald as their new head coach. They really want to do something big to help them out. You go get an edge player, an impact player, and help yourself out. Go attack the ball. That is what you want to do with Jared Verse, and I think that's what Seattle's going to do. Now, before we go further with the mock draft and go into the second half of this draft, got to ask you guys for a little bit of help here and go check out our Etsy shop. If you want to get some cool merch, help yourself out, some just nice treats, you go to ptecreative.etsy.com and treat yourself. See, when you go over to etsy.com, there's all kinds of cool items that you can see here over on our Etsy shop. Now, when you go there, you're going to see cool stuff. Sorry for a little bit of lag there on the video side of this, but there's cool football merch, there's cool just fashion merch, there's cool Pokemon merch, there's all kinds of fictional properties, nature stuff, all kinds of really cool stuff. Hey, you don't like the Philadelphia Eagles? There you go. Go get the Philly Dumpster Fire sticker. You love those Green Bay Packers? Go get yourself some Wisconsin Cheese Beer and Love Number 10 shirts or merch in general. And if you're sadly one of those Cowboy fans out there, go get the Nobody Likes Us sticker because it's pretty rad. Go help yourself out. Some cool merch over at PT Creative and help a rising artist get to where they want to go in life, and it'd be much appreciated. So go over to ptecreative.etsy.com and treat yourself to some cool merchandise. And if you do that, reward yourself further. When you go to ptecreative.etsy.com, use the promo code BLISS, BLISS, at checkout on any order of 2 items or more. You're going to take 20% off your total order. I want to help you guys out for helping me out. So go get yourself some merch and use the promo code BLISS to take a couple shekels off your total price at the end of your order. That is it for the promo. We're back to the mock draft. So, with that being said, with the 17th pick we got ourselves another trade. The Denver Broncos again trade down. They trade number 17, number 121 in the fourth round, and number 207, which I believe is a 6th round pick, for Philadelphia's number 22 pick and their 2nd round pick at 53. They know they can't just fill their roster with guys, even though they're going to have to with cap strain that they are under this year, but they need premier prospects, and they don't have enough draft picks to get them, so they're just going to keep stockpiling as many picks as possible of higher end quality, which is why they gave away the 6th and moved the 4th up to a 2nd in this trade down. So the Denver Broncos trade the pick that used to be Jacksonville's to Philadelphia to move back even further. So with the 17th pick, 2024 NFL mock draft, Philadelphia Eagles select Nate Wiggins, cornerback, Clemson. Nate Wiggins has a bit of that bad motherfucker energy that I feel that every defender, every team needs. He's got a bit of that. He's got the attitude, he's got the swagger to play big-time corner. He's following a big-time corner from a couple years back in A.J. Terrell, who I absolutely adore and has turned into one of the best corners in the league. If you're looking for speed, which Philadelphia is always looking for those big physical traits, those big-time traits, Philadelphia loves that. Nate Wiggins is your guy. He runs a hell of a 40, but beyond that, he's just a hell of a fast player on the field. Brings returnability, which is going to be even more important with the new kickoff rules coming into play, which I wouldn't be shocked if they play him back there just to see if his speed can do something with the ball in his hands. But the biggest liability the Eagles had last year, outside of just collapsing and losing faith in their team and their coach specifically, which I think is a bigger story than even it's being told out to be. Especially living currently in Philadelphia, it's a big thing. But when you look at it, everyone's going to immediately say, you got to replace Jason Kelce. The offensive line is going to take a hit, but it's going to be fine. It's not like it's going to just absolutely suck without Jason Kelce. And they've already paid replacements. They've already done their best to make it a great offensive line. It's still going to be very good. You need to address the defense, which was a complete letdown last year. You've invested a lot in the defensive line, specifically the defensive tackle positions with Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. You've invested in linebacker with Nakobe Dean and other players. Your secondary take huge hits, including James Bradbury. Just did not work out for that team. You need secondary players. You need quality secondary players that can make a play. Nate Wiggins can go make a play. That is why they go trade up to do that, because there's other teams ahead of them that need or could at least argue corner as an argument. Specifically, Miami's right in front of them and could use it. Pittsburgh's right in front of them, could use it. The Rams could use a little bit of secondary help as well, in my opinion. Even the Bengals, they could use help in the secondary. They never pan out their secondary very well. So go up, take the pick that you want, give away that 2nd, but you're getting a 4th and a 6th back for it as well, so it's not like you're losing picks either. It's a good pickup in my opinion, and that's a 2nd. That would be their second round pick. One of 2, if you will. So they'd still have a 2nd round pick, so it's worthwhile for that trade in my mind to go get the corner that you want. Which is why the Eagles make that move. Now, with the 18th pick in the 2024 NFL mock draft, Cincinnati Bengals select Amarius Mims, offensive tackle, Georgia. Frankly, it is a shame for football fans in general, whether you like Joe Burrow or not. The fact that Joe Burrow is lost due to injury just sucks because it makes football worse. I'm not a big Joey B guy, but you can't argue the talent, you can't argue the production, you can't argue how quality of a player he has become and how important he has made the Cincinnati Bengals as a threat in the AFC. For instance, I'm a big Chiefs guy. Outside of when I'm watching Patrick Mahomes, it's like watching a cleaner and better human being version of Brett Favre. That's what I see in Patrick Mahomes. I love Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, as I've said before, Packers are my number 1 team. Chiefs are my number 2 team. Also because I had a huge evaluation on Patrick Mahomes and I said he was going to be great. And he really made me look smart as an NFL scout. But with that being said, the only team that I ever actually get super concerned may beat the Chiefs is the Bengals. Because they're actually proven that they can do it. They have the firepower to do it. So logically, as you lose Tyler Boyd and you have problems with T. Higgins right now, everyone's going to say they got to go wide receiver. Again, this is a super deep wide receiver class. More important, you need to keep your goddamn quarterback upright if you want to be a long-term threat in the AFC. Because if he keeps getting hurt, guess what? His career is cut short. And guess what? That means Cincinnati goes straight back into the trash heap that they were in. You need to protect your quarterback. So you go do that in a big mofo out of Georgia who is a hell of a player in Amarius Mims. Help yourself and protect your quarterback, and your future will be brighter. That is the whole logic behind this pick. Now we go to the 19th pick. With the 19th pick in the 2024 NFL mock draft, the LA Rams select Byron Murphy II, defensive tackle or defensive lineman, Texas. Byron Murphy's a game wrecker. High motor, super effort player who loves taking on challenges. There is no replacement for Aaron Donald. That is abundantly clear to anybody who knows what they're talking about. But you still need to fill the position of a defensive lineman, and your entire team's defensive strategy has been built around that position. So it's logical to go get somebody who can play an impact position like that from that spot on the field. Ergo, you go get Byron Murphy. Frankly, it's kind of crazy that no other team biggest need could justify Byron Murphy. Now, he could go before the Rams, but really the biggest one, it just kind of fits kismetly perfectly with the Rams here. And that is why I have them taking Byron Murphy II. They need that position to be filled. Go do that. With the 20th selection, moving forward, with the 20th selection, 2024 NFL mock draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Tyler Guyton, offensive tackle, Oklahoma. Now, Guyton's a big guy. A lot of good lineage. Good tape on the field. Has some athleticism to it. He's a good player. It's just straight up. He's a good player. The offensive line for the Pittsburgh Steelers is not horrid, but it needs help. And frankly, it doesn't matter what. I never thought Kenny Pickett was the guy. I made that abundantly clear in a couple episodes since we started the show. However, it's hard to ask any quarterback when they're not being consistently protected well to really develop into a great passer. Justin Fields needs more development, and Russell Wilson needs as much time as possible. That's how Russell Wilson operates, which means you need good protection. So no matter what, you have to improve the protection in Pittsburgh to succeed and take you past the number 7 seed that gets wiped out in the playoffs every year. You need that. So you go get offensive talent that can help you do that. Tyler Guyton, I think, can help them with the blocks. That is why you go with Tyler Guyton. That's why the Pittsburgh Steelers make the selection. With the 21st pick in the 2024 NFL mock draft, the Miami Dolphins select Graham Barton, offensive lineman, Duke. Now, Graham Barton is usually distinguished as a tackle, but he keeps being discussed because of the versatility to play other positions. You can see him in the picture playing guard here. Graham Barton has a lot of versatility. That's his best strong suit. Miami has too many holes on their offensive line. They just lost Robert Hunt. They lost a lot of talent, but offensive line perspective, they lost Robert Hunt, which was a big hit for them. And Teron Armstead, although he is coming back, never plays a full season. You need swing guys to be able to fit those positions as you build that line back up, especially in Mike McDaniel's offense that is so run and gun, quick-based runs, attacking you with the run. and then taking vertical shots. You need versatility and athleticism in your offensive line to do that. I think Graham Barton gives them that ability. And although they lost a lot of defensive talent as well, you need to be able to continue to score points in that offense. Because if the offense doesn't score points, that team's done. They don't have a defense that can help carry them very much. They need to be able to continue to score points to continue to be in playoff contention like they were last year. So, or the year before that as well. So you need offensive linemen to do that. That's why they take Graham Barton, the offensive lineman, out of Duke. Now, finally, as the result of two trades, with the 22nd pick and the 2024 NFL mock draft, the Denver Broncos select Bo Nix, quarterback, Oregon. Bo Nix, to me, just fits that Sean Payton offense. He plays very similar to Drew Brees. He's not Drew Brees. Make that clear. But he plays very similar to that. He takes the position extremely serious. Grew up in that football household under a college coach as his father. He's got a lot of traits that a Sean Payton would love. He also has athleticism to create some mobility, to give Sean Payton the opportunity to get more creative in his play calls, has enough arm strength to really command the offense and do what he needs to do downfield. To me, it's no brainer. Bo Nix fits with the Denver Broncos and Sean Payton. But at 12, it was too rich to take Bo Nix. And it looked like he could slide, so you keep doing it. You keep trading back. You keep getting the value. And during that, in two trade downs, they picked up a third this year, a second this year, and people could say, well, they also lost a fourth and a sixth in this equation. Okay, that's fair. They really didn't lose a fourth, they just moved it up to a second. And they picked up another third next year. Those are three really high-end quality picks. They're going to help fill positions. 3 second and third round picks can wildly change your team in a quick order of succession. Because you can address so many holes with that. And you're going to need to in Denver that needs a lot of pieces to compete, especially with the salary cap issues they're in. So you need to go do that. So you go get your quarterback here, and then you go get picks later. Get a guy who fits your coach. And that is what Denver needs to do, and that's why they take Bo Nix out of Oregon. Now, number 23, this is the result of the initial 4 for 11 and 23 and additional picks. Arizona to Minnesota. So with the 23rd pick, the Arizona Cardinals select Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver, LSU. Now, we saw a big run on tackles. We saw a big run on corners, or a mini run on corners. And we saw some of those higher-end defensive players start coming off the board, which is why a player like Brian Thomas Jr. can go and do that. Can go and fall to a team. But think about Arizona. Their defense needs to be addressed, but you have a defensive coach that thinks that they can coach people up. Their defense was competitive and getting better at the end of the year. You have high-end quality picks. You have 3 first-round picks as a result of this trade. You can go, oh, we got to get balanced. We got to do this. We got to do that. Bullshit. My mind, you supercharge your team as best you possibly can. Who's playing receiver for that team anymore? I'll wait. I think they picked up someone in free agency. I'll look it up right now just so I can, tell you something quality. So, who's going to catch the ball for Kyler Murray? Now, we did select Brock Bowers and helped ourselves on the run side of the ball and the passing side of the ball. That's great. But you still don't have anyone to really catch the ball whatsoever on a consistent basis. You go get a playmaker. Brian Thomas Jr. is a playmaker. And you lucked out. So here's the big thing with that. I'm looking through. Sorry, I took a small pause because I would just want to see who was going to be added to Arizona. Sure as hell not seeing a receiver here. Sorry. I'm sorry, Chris Moore. Chris Moore's not a difference maker. He's a guy. All due respect to him, but he's a guy. That's who Chris Moore is. So you need playmakers. You got one in Brock Bowers, but you can go get Brian Thomas Jr. And the reason you take the receiver here, because you could say in a deep wide receiver class, well, why don't you just wait and take him at 27? Well, when Brian Thomas Jr. is there, you take it first. Because you have Dallas, who could probably use another receiver right behind you. Tampa could be argued they might want an extra player. I don't think they need it, but you never know. You have yourself again, but then you also have Buffalo, Baltimore, and Kansas City, all behind you, willing to go trade up. So, and you have teams like Dallas who could believe in their mind they need more picks, so they could trade down a little bit. You have Green Bay who seemingly almost always trades down. Yes, that is actual annoyance in my voice. We have two teams right there that could trade down in front of your next pick. So I think it's best to go take your wide receiver while you still got the chance to go make the big end player happen with Brian Thomas Jr. You go take him and you add speed, verticality, special explosion. Go take that when you got the chance. You go take it as fast as you possibly can. And that is what they do with the 23rd pick. Now, with the 24th pick in 2024 NFL mock draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Jerzon Newton, defensive lineman, Illinois. Dallas. What can be said about Dallas? Except they did exactly what Dallas does and they collapsed in a playoff game again. To my beloved Green Bay Packers, by the way, but we don't need to talk about that again. But we will. But what does Dallas truly need? Their defensive line let them down, as did their offensive skill positions. You had CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. Then think, what was your next best option? Think about that. Schoonmaker didn't pop off as a tight end. Brandon Cooks was hit or miss. He was spotty. You have Jalen Tolbert as a 4. Is that who they have? I think. Either way, they have a 4th round pick there as well. Playing the position. Michael Gallup's not the same guy. You need a complement. Wide receiver could be the pick here. However, your defense needs to be addressed up the middle. You lost Leighton Vander Esch, which really hurt you. There's no quality linebacker worthy of the pick at my mind here. Jerzon Newton helps out free more pressure from Micah Parsons, who is by far your best player on your team. Go take advantage of that. You help him out. It helps the entire center of your defense. And it helps your ability to get off the field faster. That's why you take a player like Jerzon Newton, who's a good interior presence. That's simple. And that's why they take Jerzon Newton instead of other players. Because if you want to get a receiver, again, it's a deep draft. Go do it in round 2. Because once you get Brian Thomas Jr., most teams, not me, but most teams believe there are 4 that are giant difference makers. And then there's a drop-off. Not a huge one, but a drop off. And then they go, oh, do we need that guy or can we get the next guy? That's the question that you have to ask yourself. Dallas takes the defensive lineman and waits on the receiver. And like I said, Green Bay trades down, but don't worry, they didn't trade down this way. I just didn't see a trade down partner for Green Bay. I looked. Trust me, I looked and just said that one really makes sense. Green Bay stays pat, so with the 25th pick in the 2024 NFL mock draft, the Green Bay Packers select Cooper DeJean, cornerback, Iowa. As a fan, what did I just say about Joe Burrow? You need to protect your quarterback. Green Bay has done that. I do not want to say they haven't. But they just lost David Bakhtiari, who was your franchise left tackle. He hasn't been playing for the last 3 years, which is why I also advocated that you needed to make that move. However, there are still spots on that offensive line that they lost beyond Bakhtiari. I would have argued you go to a Troy Fautanu or another player like that that has some versatility, athleticism, play different positions, lost the line of scrimmage, including has good tackle experience. So then you have two really versatile guys along with him and Elgton Jenkins to make the block for that. But again, this is what I would do. This is what the Packers would do. If you look at the biggest position groups of need for the Packers, the secondary is what you need. They're light at safety. They're light at corner after Jair Alexander. I like the fact that they kept Corey Ballantyne and Carrington Valentine. I like the fact that they brought those guys back. They held up really, really well in Jair Alexander's absence last year through injury. But they're not number one corner guys. The other thing about this is they don't really have a slot guy then. They need a second safety. And they want defensive playmakers. Cooper DeJean is all those things. Cooper DeJean could probably play safety, play a hell of a nickel corner, play outside, and he's a hell of a return man who might take some pressure off of Keyshawn Nixon, who's developed into a pretty good slot corner. Forgot about Keyshawn Nixon developing a slot corner because I was so worried about the special teams. So really, that's why I thought, that's the other thing in the back of my head, why I'm like, why didn't I want to do corner? That's why I think they should go otherwise, but this just makes too much sense. They always pick first-round defensive players, and somehow they always just end up taking the white guy. It's just what the Packers fucking do. Like, it's just what they do. Like, I could have told you a mile away last year. It's not the guy I think they should pick, but they're going to take Lucas Van Ness. What the hell happens? They take fucking Lucas Van Ness. That's just who Green Bay is. That's what they do. Cooper DeJean makes a lot of sense at a position of need, and he's worthy of the pick, and he brings a lot of versatility to your team, so that's why I have Green Bay taking Cooper DeJean out of Iowa. Now at 26, Tampa Bay is very smart, so with the 26th pick, 2024 NFL mock draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select the guy I just talked about, Troy Fautanu. Offensive lineman in Washington. Again, has good starts at the tackle position. They have Tristan Wirfs, but they need additional help across the line. You want to make sure Baker Mayfield continues his success. You go get Troy Fautanu. You help out your entire offensive line. That's what I think is the best thing to do. They may be able to use some defensive help as well, but their guys at this rank aren't exactly what they're going to need more than what Fautanu brings. So that's why I think you go get Fautanu. Now, number 27. This is a result of last year's trade between Houston and Arizona. But with the 27th pick in 2024 NFL mock draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Laiatu Latu, edge, UCLA. Now, for those that already saw my big board, I love Laiatu Latu. He's the best edge rusher, in my opinion, in this class. Thing about Leatu Latu is health concern. It's going to make him drop. It's going to take that one team that loves him. But players like him always drop. That's just what the NFL draft does. They take those players and they drop. Leatu Latu is a force on the defensive line. What does Arizona need? Everything. So you just take BPA best player available. But I think you go get impact players as much as possible. Look at the 3 picks I gave Arizona in this run. Brock Bowers, instant impact player in both a running and passing ability. Brian Thomas Jr., instant impact player at the wide receiver position. Now you can look at your defense. Leatu Latu, instant impact player along your defensive line. That is what you need to be competitive. You are in a division, the Seattle Seahawks, the Los Angeles Rams, and the defending NFC champion San Francisco 49ers. You need to have impact players who go make plays. You've addressed the offensive side as much as you possibly can early with Bowers and Thomas. You then go get Leatu Latu. I think it's a home run of an idea, which is why I did it for them. But I think that's something they could also do because they just need help on their defensive line as well. They go get Leatu Latu. Now, the 28th pick in the 2024 NFL mock draft, the Buffalo Bills anticlimactically select Adonai Mitchell, wide receiver, Texas. I think it's abundantly clear after last week's trade. Stephon Diggs leaving Buffalo. Buffalo, who already needed more skill position help, desperately is going to take a wide receiver. They got a 2 back, but they lost a 5th and a 6th for that. Which says a lot. You got to get young at that position. Adonai Mitchell is a bigger impact player. He has speed, he has body control, he has good hands, he has ability. Go take a player like that in the first round. The only thing with Buffalo is a lot of people say, oh no, go take Xavier Worthy instead of Adonai Mitchell. I would agree with that assessment. The only thing is with Buffalo, speed doesn't count as much in the cold as it normally does. Not unless you're Tyreek Hill. And a lot of people would say, no, it's crazy. You naturally get slowed down in the cold. It's just what happens, especially with more finesse players like Xavier Worthy. Adonai Mitchell's more of that tough guy going across, going up in the air, making big plays. That's why Buffalo takes Adonai Mitchell. I had Buffalo as a high trade-up candidate, but where I wanted Buffalo to go, it just didn't make sense. And I just don't think they're willing to make that trade-up as big as I had it, but maybe I'll talk about that next week in the What Would I Do draft. But for right now, at 28, they take Adonai Mitchell, wide receiver out of Texas. At 29, with the 29th pick, 2024 NFL mock draft, the Detroit Lions select Kool-Aid McKinstry, cornerback, Alabama. Kool-Aid, again, nice big physical corner. Comes with a great lineage and great coaching, and Nick Saban makes plays on the ball when he can. Good mirror, good hip movement, willing tackler. That's who Kool-Aid is. He's a good player. Detroit didn't have a lot of glaring weaknesses, but Detroit had some problems on the back end. Their defense in general actually does need a boost. They started adding names so people go, oh no, they're better. Yeah, but they just lost Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, which doesn't help them. And look at the rest of their team on their defensive side. They just don't have those guys in the defensive backfield. So you need to go get guys, and you go get quality guys like Kool-Aid. Help yourself out. And you're going to be playing against Jordan Love and Caleb Williams for the next 5 years. You're going to be seeing a lot of passing in the NFC North. Not to mention, Kenneth O'Connell loves throwing play-action passes with any quarterback he has. So Minnesota's going to throw the ball too. Especially because, I don't know, they have Justin Jefferson on their team. They need guys who can cover big-time receivers. Kool-Aid can go probably do that. That's why you go pick him. Then with the 30th pick in the 2024 NFL mock draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Chop Robinson, edge, Penn State. Now, trust me, if Kool-Aid or Terrion Arnold is somehow there, Baltimore's going to take him. Because Baltimore takes Alabama players. They just always do. But Kool-Aid doesn't make it. Almost did, but doesn't make it. But what Baltimore lost across their defensive line does not help them this year. They need to rejuvenate their defensive line. Especially the fact that you don't have Mike Macdonald coaching them up anymore. So that's a question mark. How well is their defense going to play without Mike Macdonald? So you go get blue chip prospect players like Chop Robinson. Chop is a little bit raw. He needs to develop more. But guys like that just always thrive in Baltimore because they're always well coached. Now, I just said question mark and coaching. That's true. But Baltimore has a history. It doesn't matter who their defensive line coach is, who their defensive coordinator is. Those guys always get coached up well. Because that is what Baltimore does really well as a franchise. They draft and develop defensive players extremely well. Chop Robinson, I think, could help them out a lot from an edge perspective. That's why I had him taken. Now, at 31, with the 31st pick in the 2024 NFL mock draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Jordan Morgan, offensive tackle, Arizona. The run on tackles already happened. I don't think Jordan Morgan, it's not fair to say Jordan Morgan is the best of the rest. Because I think that kind of starts with Tyler Guyton. But these are all first round worthy players, especially once you get into the weird 20 rounds. Once you get into the 20s, all hell breaks loose because guys that you think are surefire first picks, they go to the third. Guys that you're like, oh, I think they could be a second, they jump into the first because of positional value or their scheme fit or anything else that happens with them. A nice athletic left tackle can help San Francisco. Now, you don't need a left tackle, you need a tackle. But you need guys across the line. Outside of Trent Williams, if you actually look at the San Francisco offensive line, it's actually not great. It's not bad because of good coaching. But no one there is a real difference maker except the Hall of Famer Trent Williams. So you go get young, quality players like Jordan Morgan to help your team out and hopefully keep Brock Purdy upright so you can continue to pursue a Super Bowl. That's the point of a pick like this, and that's what they do with Jordan Morgan here at the tackle position. If you want to see how San Francisco lost the Super Bowl, look at the line of scrimmage battle and look at the defensive back battle. That's what happened. Steve Spagnuolo's coaching happened. That's how San Francisco lost. And then ultimately, Patrick Mahomes went and did some Patrick Mahomes shit because that's who Patrick Mahomes fucking is. And then speaking of Patrick Mahomes, finally, with the 32nd pick and the final pick in the first round, 2024 NFL mock draft, the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champions, select Keon Coleman, wide receiver, Florida State. Now, with that, the wet dream for most people is for Xavier Worthy to go to Kansas City because they want the instant replacement of what was with Tyreek Hill there. Xavier Worthy, although he moves similarly to Tyreek Hill, he's not nearly as fast as Tyreek Hill. He's not nearly as talented as Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is a freak in all the best ways and as a football player on the field. Again, as a football player on the field. I want to make that clear in today's world. But Xavier Worthy is worthy of a first round pick. I think he's a first round talent. I think he belongs there. I'm not going to be shocked when he does go there. However, when I look at what Kansas City just signed Hollywood Brown, who's more of a deep speed threat. You're looking for, it's the classic analogy if you want a basketball team as your wide receiver room. So you have your deep speed threat. You have your possession guy in Rashee Rice. Who's your next big play guy? I don't think you have it in Kansas City yet. To me, I go get the 6'4" jump ball guy in Keon Coleman, who gives me more size and more versatility and a lot of toughness in play. That's who I think they go get. I think they need skill position help. I think it's desperately obvious because so much of that last year was scheming themselves to win and winning in a different way than they're used to. But without question, Kansas City needs to pick up their offensive firepower and utilize the best quarterback in NFL history. I think you go get a guy like Keon Coleman, high point the ball, make great contested catches so you have even more margin of error on those big plays. You can go make small plays into big plays, big crossing routes, great intermediate routes. That's what I think you go get with Keon Coleman. It can work with Xavier Worthy too, but that's why I went with Keon Coleman. I think Keon Coleman's a little bit more of a sure thing than Xavier. And I'm utterly in love with him as a player. He's the kind of guy I plant your flag. That's my guy in this draft. So that is with the final selection. Kansas City takes Keon Coleman out of State. That is mock draft 1.0 in this year's draft class for me over at PT Creative. I'd love to hear what you guys think, so hit it up in the comment section. If you like this video, like the video. Hit the notification bell. See when other stuff is coming. Share this video with other people if you're in the video format. If you're listening on Spotify, thank you. We appreciate you doing that every Thursday. If you're not, but you want the audio form, go to Spotify. It's all under PT Creative. And help yourself out, because then you can take the podcast anywhere. And you can ridicule my thoughts anywhere you like. Go hit us up on socials. Check us out what we're doing over there. And like I said before, go check out our Etsy shop. It will help you get cool stuff. Why not do it? Go help a rising artist, which would be really cool. But more than anything, thank you so much for watching or listening. We appreciate you over at PT Creative. Love y'all so much. Happy draft season. We're 2 weeks from the draft. Hope season is on fire right now. Keep hoping that your team gets better. Peace.